Drive past any RV storage lot in America right now and look at the Class A coaches lined up along the back fence. Half of them are quietly bleeding their owners dry. A badly built coach will cost you $30,000 in the first few years. And most of that money disappears into repairs the salesman swore you would never see. A repaint, a roof, and a rotted floor on a rig that still is not worth what you paid for it. I have crawled under enough of these coaches to know the difference between one built to last a decade and one built to last until the payment book runs out. And here is the part that is going to bother some of you. Winnebago, the biggest name on the lot, the one your brother-in-law swears by, did not make my list of the 3 Class A brands still built the right way. That is not a cheap shot, and it is not clickbait. What nobody tells you at the dealership is that the name on the front matters a whole lot less than the bones underneath it. And only 3 builders still get those bones. Right, while most of the industry quietly gave up. 10 years ago, you could walk onto a lot and most Class A coaches were built by people who expected the thing to still be on the road when the grandkids inherited it. Those days are mostly gone. Volume is the game now, and volume means a stapled wood frame, a laminated skin glued over foam, and a decal where the paint used to be. That skin looks beautiful under the showroom lights. Then moisture finds a seam, the glue lets go, the panel bubbles, and now you are staring at delamination that runs $5,000 to $15,000 to make right. If the industry had stopped cutting corners there, we would not be having this conversation. It did not stop there. So, before I give you the 3, let me tell you what built the right way actually means in the language a man with a wrench uses, not a brochure. A coach built right has a welded aluminum or steel cage under the walls, not staples and glue holding wet wood together. It wears full body paint baked on in layers, not a vinyl decal that peels at the corners in the desert sun. Look at the roof, too, because that is where the money leaks in. A one-piece fiberglass roof sheds water for decades. A rubber membrane roof needs resealing every few years, and the day you forget, water goes straight into the wood underneath and spreads where you cannot see it. And underneath all of it sits the chassis. A commercial Freightliner or Spartan frame carries air brakes, air ride, and a Cummins diesel in the back, the same running gear that carries fire trucks and ambulances. A gas coach on a Ford F-53 chassis with the V10 straining to move 18,000 pounds is a consumer product wearing a living room. The diesel pusher on a commercial frame is a work truck that happens to have a bed and a kitchen. That difference is not just comfort. It is money. A cheaply built coach loses 20 to 30 of its value the day the title changes hands, and it keeps bleeding while the repairs pile on top. 30,000 gone before some owners have taken a single real trip. That is the kind of number that makes accountants cry. Now about Winnebago, because the experts in the comments will hold my feet to the fire if I am lazy about this. I'm not telling you the whole company builds junk. That would be a lie, and you would be right to call it one. Their diesel lines, the Journey, the Tour, the Forza, those are a different animal built to a different standard. What I'm telling you is narrower, and it is fair. The entry gas coaches most retirees actually get shown on the lot. The Vista, the Sonova, the Intent on that Ford F-53 chassis are built to a price. They are fine for a few summers or weekend trips. They are not the coach I would bet the next 10 years of my retirement on. And this video is about the ones that are. Which brings me to number 3. And this is the one almost nobody outside the diesel crowd has ever heard of. Number 3 is Foretravel. Say it slow because you will want to remember it. Foretravel is a tiny builder out of Nacogdoches, Texas that has been hand-building coaches for decades. And the people who own them talk about them the way old captains talk about a steel trawler. A Foretravel is not built on a chassis somebody else welded it up. The body and the frame are one integrated structure, closer to how they build a city bus than how they build an RV. That is why a 30-year-old Foretravel still tracks down the highway straight and tight while cheaper coaches from the same era are already twisting and cracking at the seams. These are the best bones money can buy. In a Class A, full stop. Now let me be straight with you about the catch because there always is one and the sharp ones already smell it. Foretravel is boutique. When something breaks, you are not driving to the nearest dealer for a part off the shelf. You're calling a specialist, waiting on the factory, and paying for the privilege. The coach is bulletproof. The ownership takes patience and a fat wallet. So, this is the pick for the buyer who wants the finest structure ever bolted under a Class A and does not mind chasing the support to keep it perfect. What comes next is the part the brochure will never explain because the next two are just as solid and a whole lot easier to live with. For a while there, it looked like the middle of the market was going to lose his last honest builder, too. That did not happen. Number 2 is Newmar, built in a small town called Napanee, Indiana by people who have been at it long enough to have a reputation worth protecting. The Dutch Star and the Mountain Air are the ones to know. They wear full-body paint. They ride on a Spartan or a Freightliner chassis with a Cummins diesel, and they hold their value on the used lot better than almost anything else out there because buyers who know coaches know exactly what a Newmar is. Here is the detail that trips people up, and the comment section loves to fight about it. Winnebago, the company bought Newmar back in 2019. So, how can a Winnebago-owned brand be on a list where Winnebago itself is not? Because the smartest thing Winnebago did was leave the Napanee line alone. The same crew, the same welded structure, the same full-body paint kept rolling out the door after the sale, and the coaches did not get cheaper or worse. That is the defensible truth, and it is more useful to you than the rumor. Buy the coach, not the corporate chart. 2 things to check before you sign on a used Newmar, and write these down. On the pre-2015 Dutch Stars, the aqua hot heating system can turn into a money pit, so pay a tech to inspect it before you buy. And get down into the basement storage bays and press hard on the floors because that is the first place water damage hides on these coaches. Catch it early and it is a weekend and a tube of sealant. Catch it late and it is a whole floor rebuild. If this is the kind of straight talk nobody at the dealership will give you, hit the subscribe button. There are more of these coming, and I would rather you hear it from a guy with grease under his nails than from a salesman working a quota. So, we have covered the bulletproof boutique tank and the premium coach that survived a buyout with its soul intact. The one I have been saving for last is the one I would put my own money on tomorrow. Up to now, every pick came with an asterisk. This one does not. Number 1 is Tiffin. And no, the sale to a bigger company a few years back did not ruin it, no matter what you heard. Tiffin is a family company out of Red Bay, Alabama that builds coaches the way a good boatyard builds a trawler. Hand-laid fiberglass, welded aluminum frames, and a factory service center in Red Bay that will still work on coaches they built back in the 1990s. A company that will fix a coach it built 30 years ago. Think about that for a second. There is not a mass-market builder alive that can say the same. And that one fact is worth more than every option package on the sticker. This is a family company and it shows in the work. The people weld in the frames and lay in the glass tend to stay for decades, and coaches built by hands that expect to answer for them are coaches that come back to the road instead of the salvage yard. The one to buy is the Phaeton, and I will say it the way it sounds, the Phaeton. A mid-range diesel pusher on a Freightliner chassis. Freightliner service centers sit on every interstate in the country. The parts are commercial truck parts sold at any truck counter for a fraction of what an RV dealer charges for the very same box. Brakes, bearings, belts and filters at a Freightliner counter or a truck stop run $20 to $50 under the RV service department price, and it is the identical part in a different bag. A pre-2020 Phaeton runs 80,000 to 170,000 used and holds together like the day it left Alabama. A cut-rate coach of the same year sells for 60 to 120,000 and carries an owner recommendation rate down around 14. That is not a typo. The cheaper rig quietly costs you more in warranty repairs, water damage and resale loss than you ever saved at the lot. That gap, that is the whole ball game. If you are getting close to signing a check on any of these, I put the whole buy on sale system in writing, and it costs less than a dealer charges for 1 hour of shop labor, while the average first-time buyer loses 15 to 50,000 getting it wrong. It is in the link below. Back to the coach. The reason the Phaeton is my number one is not romance. It is math and it is service. A coach that holds its structure, rides on a chassis any truck shop in the country can fix, and comes from a company that still answers the phone about a rig it built 3 decades ago, is a coach that costs you the least to own over the long haul. And when the bones are right, the maintenance stays cheap and boring. A 12-tube of roof sealant run around the seams every spring as the thing standing between you and a 10,000 delamination job in the fall. On a well-built coach, that math actually works in your favor. If I had to buy one Class A today to live in for the next decade, I would buy another Tiffin Phaeton and not think twice. That is not a sentence I hand out lightly, and I've owned enough of these to have earned the right to say it. So, there are your 3. Foretravel for the best bones on the planet. Neumar for the premium coach that survived its buyout intact. Tiffin for the one you buy once and stop worrying about. Notice what all 3 share and what the storage lot full of bargains does not. A welded frame instead of staples and glue. A commercial chassis instead of a straining gas engine. And a builder who expects to see the coach again in 20 years, not never. Because it was never the badge on the front that keeps you dry and solvent for the next 10 years. It is the bones nobody photographs, the frame you cannot see, and the phone number that still works long after the salesman stopped returning your calls. The whole industry chased volume and hoped you would not look behind the panel. 3 builders bet you would. The full playbook is in that link if you want it. Now, here is the one nobody on the lot wants you to figure out. There is the Class A layout sitting on used lots right now for pennies on the dollar. The one the smart buyers are already grabbing before the rest of the market wakes up. And the reason it is cheap has nothing to do with how well it was built. I will show you that one next.